Great, we are live. All right, hello everyone. This is Chidi Akunna.
And Victor Akunna.
Thank you for joining us. So we will try to avoid the temptation of mentioning names because this will be going on other platforms.
Yes.
Okay, so today we've decided to touch on relationship goals, doing what is best for your relationship this year. You know, sometimes, like we always would say, there's the tendency to take care of other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
You know, so with the new year starting, some people would be thinking about their finances, their careers, or their business. And there's sometimes the tendency to forget your relationship. Your relationship is just as important, you know. And if sometimes they say, oh, managing people is one of the most difficult things, then I think it's something we need to be paying attention to. What do you think?
Well, I think you are spot on in terms of managing our relationships, managing who we are, because the first relationship you need to manage is your relationship with yourself. You are the one that reflects the energy to other people. You are the one that attracts other people into your space. So if you fix yourself, you will be able to change the kind of people you attract into your space. You will be able to change how it impacts people, positively or negatively. So the key thing here is, what goals do you have for your relationship? And how do you want to go about doing this? You know, it's very important for you to be able to know, first, know yourself. Like Socrates would say, man, know thyself. The moment you know thyself, then you now ask yourself, who do I want to be in this world? Who do I want to represent? Who do I want to, how do I want to appear? How do I want to show up into this world? All right, so because the moment you decide that, then that's the baseline for any other relationship you're going to form. It's the baseline for your platonic relationships, for your relationship with your spouse, romantic relationships, your relationship with your colleagues, all right, work-based relationships. Very critical for you to, first of all, look within and fix yourself. When you sort yourself out, the other relationship will sort itself out.
I think this is why I'm so excited about this topic today, because I want to sort myself out. Come on, let's do this.
Let's go.
Okay, so who are we? That's us in the picture.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, our names are Chidi and Victor Akunna, as we mentioned earlier. And our mission is just simple: to raise prototype romantic and intimate couples across the globe. And this is doable.
Absolutely.
We're seeing it happen. Absolutely. We're seeing more couples getting there, and it's so exciting. So come on, jump in. We do this through speaking engagements, seminars, workshops, coaching sessions, counseling sessions, talk shows, retreats, and then we have a lot of resources. If you've not been to our website, please jump there now. www.foundationforfamilyaffairs.org.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And do we have a YouTube channel as well?
We are on other platforms as well. If you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel,
I don't know what you're reaching
what
for.
are you doing? Why are you not there yet? Get on. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to notify you of when we post our videos. We have one that will be dropping in the next hour. You don't want to miss out. We have what we call Intimacy Builder Program. We have that for singles, for engaged couples, for married couples, and this is where we work with people on a one-to-one basis. We also could do a group thing for those who are in a group who would want to say, oh, I don't just want this for myself, I want it for my friends as well, and I think it would be really beneficial, and it is really transformational. I'd like to talk about it.
Absolutely. Now you may ask yourself around, how is this going to be beneficial to you? Now, you are a single person, and every time you try to attract the right kind of relationship or the right kind of guy or the right kind of lady, you keep attracting the type that you don't like. Like, this has happened once, this has happened twice. If it happened 3 times, 4 times, it means that this is no longer a happenstance. There is a law at work. So what we try to do is to help you distill why you keep attracting the wrong kind of people. And then once you fix that, the kind of relationship you begin to attract will completely will be changed. If you go to our Instagram, or if you go to our Instagram or to our website, you see testimonials of people that have gone through this program and have really attracted the right people, and a lot of them have gotten married. Now, if you're an engaged couple, what does it do for you? So we have a different package. It's called Intimacy Builder Program for engaged couples. Now, who are these people? These are people that have already attracted each other, and now they are working towards getting married. So the key thing there is this. You both are coming from different point of view. You are coming from various different cultural background. You are coming from different perspective of view of the world, how to handle money, how to handle, go around sex, how to manage in-laws. So what we do is to help you distill the best way to be able to go forward. Now, what do I mean? Now, when I got married to my wife, I noticed that the way she was, her approach to finance is completely different from mine. So for us to be able to build the kind of marriage that we have today, we have to sit down and say, you know what, how are we going to handle money? Who is going to be earning what? Who is going to be managing what? Who will be responsible for allocating? So that automatically took away the stress around money. All right, so like they say, one of the key issues why couples fight is money. And it's not about the money itself, it's about how they see and manage money. So what we do is to help you look at 8 critical areas where potential flashpoint, that's what we call it, where couples always argue. Things like marriage, things like in-laws, things like money, things like sex, how do you support each other in each other's career, things like where do you worship. So we help you look at these key areas, and then we help you come up with a blueprint that will work for your marriage. And then same thing applies to the marriage couples. People who are having different issues, probably specific issues in their marriage. These guys are already in marriage, so probably the sex is no longer the way it used to be. We come up with a blueprint for you to improve that area. So other things that we do is that we build specialized courses. All right, so we have courses on our website called Romance Booster, where we share these specific things that can help you improve your marriage. It's not like theory. These are practical steps that you can take. Then for singles, we have something, why am I still single? Someone, a lady that worked on herself, that improved, that doing quite well, and she can't understand why she's not attracting the right guy. So this course will help you distill, all right? Distill why this had been and what you can do about it. Then we have seminars and talk shows, like my wife mentioned earlier, and we have Romance Masterclass. We have the Light the Fire seminar. Then we have our books, Relationship Red Flags, which a lot of you that have gone through our program will probably have. We have Spicy Romance, we have Bedroom Makeover, and many more. We have about 8 books actually.
You can find them on our website, www.foundationforfamilyaffairs.org. And if you're interested in some of the things we offer, you can contact us at info@foundationforfamilyaffairs.org.
Absolutely. Let's roll. So,
okay, summary of our class for today. So let's pick the first one, self-development. Okay, jump in.
So for self-development, basically, some people will say, I've done everything I think I know. I talked to my spouse, we have communicated, but nothing seems to be working. Sometimes we are a reflection of our experience and our past and what we have learned. All right, so the key thing there is this. Someone will say, I think we wrote this in one of our quotes, that when you become better, your marriage will become better.
True.
Now, because when you become better, now what does that mean in practical sense? I try to make things simple. I try to go beyond the cliches to be able to come up with the still practical thing that people can use and work with. So how do you become better? For example, what do you do when you are disappointed? What do you do when you are angry? What do you do when you don't achieve? So basically, how you behave and how your energy sits, how you reflect or interact with your spouse when you go through life phases can drastically impact on your marriage. That's one key thing. Another way where you can improve yourself is we are what do you call it now? The family that you come from. If you come from a family where the marriage was flat, was not upbeat, was not exceptional, there's a probability that you may not have the best tools to be able to create the kind of marriage you want. So you may say, I want a very romantic marriage. Romantic marriage being a marriage where there's mutual understanding, mutual respect, mutual love, but your present makeup, the background where you come from, your view of the world, your view of the opposite sex is not supporting, is not enough or adequate to support the kind of marriage you want. What do? You have to improve yourself. So another way to say this is this. For those of you that have, into engineering, every bridge has the capacity of what you can carry. So they will tell you, if you are driving through this bridge, make sure you are not carrying something heavier than this, because every bridge has its own capacity. Every foundation has its own capacity. You cannot put a skyscraper on a bungalow foundation. So one key thing there is this. You may have a fantastic goal, what you want for your marriage, but you must, if who you are as an individual is not strong enough to support or to create that kind of marriage, you will be hitting yourself against the stone. So what you end up doing, you'll be manipulating your spouse, trying to control your spouse, trying to have your way, trying to run them down, because you are trying to get them to do something. Rather than you trying to get them to do something, you become something.
Okay, like what you've been saying
Absolutely.
all week. Better you, better marriage.
Absolutely.
Better you,
spot on.
better marriage. So, like with the example you gave, let's
Yes.
distill this.
Yeah.
For someone who is sitting down there, you're thinking, oh, by the way, in one of the videos which will be dropping soon, we discussed this.
Yes.
Why you're unhappy, why you may be unhappy in your marriage. Now, and one of the examples we cited there was, now you as a person, you get upset about something your spouse does, and then you decide to stonewall. And probably, like he mentioned earlier, in your family, that was what was obtainable. You saw your parents do that.
Absolutely.
And you've grown to think it's permissible to do that.
Absolutely.
Your spouse can't get it. For some people, it's a big deal. Like, why are you like this? And he can't understand it. And yes, somebody else looking at that might think it's a very little issue. He's even making it too big. Come on, man, just relax and try to understand. She'll come around.
Absolutely.
But to him, because that's not been his experience, he's probably come from a family where when people have issues, they talk about it. They can, meet, not just blank the person out, and then you've realized that yes, it's a little thing, but then it creates a very large gulf in the marriage. And it's like you get to that point where you don't see eye to eye.
Absolutely.
You see why it becomes critical that you continue to improve yourself. Do not remain the way you are. I mean, there's always room for growth. It doesn't matter how good you are.
Yes.
They said the enemy of great is good. So yes, you're good, but you can't be great. You can't be great. And yes, how can I even make things better? How can I do things that would improve the state of things in my marriage?
Absolutely.
And when the state of things improve in your marriage, it improves your quality of life, interestingly.
Absolutely. Let me just quickly add one or two things. One of the ways you can transform yourself is by reading or acquiring new information.
True.
If you break the word down, information, it's in. Whatever you take in forms you, forms your paradigm about marriage. There's no point you thinking a marriage is difficult and you're trying to create a fantastic marriage. Your perspective about marriage is going to create the kind of marriage you always have, no matter how good you are. So the key thing there is expose yourself to information. And where can you get some of this information? We have tons of information on this platform, and then you can find more on our YouTube page, Foundation for Family. Search us out. You find tons of videos we've done on how to, how to love your wife, things to do, even for single people. Basically, this will really help you. And then also, for people who are single, are thinking, how does this concern me? The key thing there is this: you cannot attract, you attract your type.
Sure.
So if you want to attract a guy that is, upwardly mobile, interesting, sound, you have to become that kind of a person, because that kind of a person you're looking for is also looking for a certain kind of woman.
Yeah.
So you have to become that kind of a woman for you to be able to attract that kind of a man. That's the way it works, because like they say, birds of a feather flock together. We spend time with people like us in terms of value system. All right, so you must develop yourself as well to be able to attract the kind of person you. So that one, we can do a video much later on practical steps that a single person can take on how they can do that to improve themselves. So for a married person, for people that are engaged, what can you do? Begin to learn new things. If you learn new things, you do better. When you do better, your marriage can improve. Have a target. It might not be books that work for you. It might be podcasts. All right, Google Podcast is there. Apple Podcast is there. Our YouTube channel is there. Just get this information. Don't try to preserve the way you see marriage to be. No. Find out what is there. All right. Instead of saying this is the way it is, this is the way it must be. No. Be open to learning, open to transforming. Maybe what your way may be good. Maybe it used to be good. Maybe it's no longer relevant now. So you may decide to open your mind up to new opportunities.
Great. So let's hit the second point.
Yes, trust.
Key. This is, we wrote something one time on our website, and we said one of the strongest pillars in marriage is trust. If trust is breached, then we have a problem.
Absolutely.
Interestingly, trust must be earned. Trust must be earned. You mess up, for any reason, it might be the least thing, probably you told a lie, and your spouse since then no longer trusts you. Okay, because of that one little lie, let's put that in quotes, that you told. He seems not to believe anything you do. Now I'm talking from the perspective of a woman, so you hear me oftentimes say he. Okay, so he tends not to believe you or think you're straightforward. Now you must get to the point where you become trustworthy, where he can bequeath his trust to you again, and then begin to trust you. Otherwise, things would remain the way they are, or even worse in the relationship. So yes, if something's happened in the past, you must be patient. We often advise people to take their time, be patient with your spouse, and win back the trust.
Now, there are different reasons why people lose trust in each other. Maybe the way you managed money in the past. All right, so you had money that you were saving up for something significant, maybe to change your life, and then your spouse went behind your back, withdrew the money, because it was probably a joint account, withdrew the money and sent it to family or sent it to some people without your permission. Now, you built a financial, you had a financial agreement that if you are spending something above this amount of money, you please seek my consent. And then your spouse went, used the money, or, for example, I know a particular story of a woman who took from very large money from the family business, because the husband and the wife were running the business together. And then what did she do? She invested it, and her intention was good. Her intention was to multiply the money and surprise the husband and put a smile on his face. But because she breached the agreement that he had, which was check this with me before you go ahead. I mean, this was a significant amount of money. And what happened was that the business fell through. She was duped of the large amount, and she was struggling to pay because it was a loan that she got. So by the time the husband found out, it was very messy.
Surprise gone wrong.
Surprised. In fact, he was surprised, but it was surprised in a negative way. Okay. It shook the foundation of the marriage. It took some pastors, some very respected people to bring the marriage, but I don't think that trust was rebuilt before the man passed on to glory. It was a very, very so I saw that live. I saw what that can do to a marriage. I mean, these were phenomenal couple. I was working with them for want not to disclose too much information. So I knew them one to one. That's what I'm trying to say. They had phenomenal marriage. But this particular issue breached the trust, shook the foundation of the marriage. So one thing that has to do with money, one of the way people lose our trust is the issue of money. Two, the issue of the opposite sex. All right, so you have a fling from the past. You had a relationship from someone, probably someone you didn't marry, maybe because your genotype was not compatible. Your genotype was not compatible, and based on that, you guys did not marry. And then you met this handsome guy or beautiful lady, and then you got married to her, but you still maintain ties with that person. Once in a while, that flame is still there. You guys still chat, you still fan it, and you still feel like, oh, I wish that our genotype was different. And your spouse stumbled over such information. It's going to it will make them feel like an option. That you don't really love them.
Trust is so fragile.
So fragile.
Very fragile.
Very important. When we say it's a pillar, it's what holds it.
Absolutely.
Without it, there is, we don't understand. What are you doing? But then it's so fickle that the least thing can trip it. So we must be careful. And I think it's just that point where you check yourself. So in assessing what we're doing now, relationship goals, we'll be asking you, are you a trustworthy spouse? It's just, are you deserving of the trust? Sometimes you do things and yes, your spouse does not know about them, but are you deserving of the trust that spouse grants you?
Spot on.
It's a rhetoric question, I think.
Spot on. So what do? Set a goal to improve your trust, to improve the trust in your marriage by becoming trustworthy. First, like she said, trust is earned. It's like a currency. All right, you everything you do in the marriage builds trust or depletes trust. For example, you guys had an agreement about how to spend money. Honey, I want to buy this, and then you guys agree about it. So a situation will come where he or she may not have the whole information, but based on how you have dealt with him or her in the past, you can say, no, I think this person did not do this. I think that's how people build trust. Because what is trust? Trust helps people to feel safe.
Yes.
To feel emotionally safe.
Yes.
All right. If your spouse behave in strange ways, when you spend time with them, you feel like you're spending time with a stranger. You'll be guarded, and it's exhausting to always be guarded. It's exhausting to always be guarded about your money, guarded about how much you spend, guarded about how. For example, if you have a spouse that's into gambling, you understand that's anytime you get your credit card or your debit card, they just go and gamble away. It's exhausting to spend time with such a person.
Yeah.
Because you are carrying your phone. Not your phone. You're carrying your anything that these days we have we have apps that we can use to purchase things on our phone. You're carrying your phone. You're carrying your card everywhere. It's exhausting. All right. So very important. If you are the spouse that is not trustworthy, work on it. Don't expect your spouse to accept you the way you are. No, you work to be better.
Yes.
Because sometimes you hear spouse say, "Oh, this is where I am. This is my demon." Deal with your demon. All right. Deal with your demon and save your marriage. All right. So relationship goes. What to do to improve your marriage? This is one of the things. Improve trust. Without trust, very little. Someone says that a relationship without trust is like a phone without the internet. All you can do is play games. You can't connect. You can't call anyone. Very powerful. Very powerful.
Yes. Okay, so the next one, strengthen your friendship.
Yes.
Friendship is really
Yes,
nice.
yes.
I love friendship.
Yep.
Sometimes some people are averse to this because for several reasons though. But friendship is that thing that helps you connect even when things when hot conversations come up.
Yes.
Let me put it that way.
Absolutely.
Okay, you still would be able to remember that. It's my friend. He's my friend. Okay, let's get to that point where we relate as such.
Yes.
Friendship is very key in a relationship, and it must be strengthened. The fact that I met my husband, we were friends, and then we married. And then, yes, the relationship is progressing as it is. Shouldn't make us stiff in the marriage.
Absolutely.
Now, in marriage, we need to now do things that would strengthen that relationship.
Absolutely.
We'll talk about some of those things in the next slide. Okay, but those things must be done to ensure that the friendship between us is sustained.
Your friend is someone you can spend time with. You can be yourself in that person's friends. You can share your secrets. You can share your fears. You can share your concerns. That's what friendship is. So you must constantly work to be your spouse's confidant. Someone your spouse can tell, to be honest, I know we have to do this, but I don't feel like doing it. It's really difficult. For example, there was a time I was running a program. It was very challenging. It took everything and more. So many times I'll just be telling my wife, this is so exhausting. I feel like quitting, but I know that we can't quit now. And she'll be there, she'll tell me. Can you imagine if I didn't have the kind of relationship where I can tell my wife how I'm truly feeling?
Yes.
What is going to? I'm going to bottle all that emotion, all that energy within, or I'll look for somebody else to share that kind of intimate detail with, and that's how people get into trouble. So the very key thing is to build friendship. You must build friendship. You must create that safe atmosphere where your spouse can be themselves without being judged, without feeling belittled, without losing their dignity. All right. So, for example, something your spouse shares with you, and when you guys are arguing, you just say, "Oh, that's how you always do," and that's how you. What you are doing is that you are destroying the fabric of your friendship, and it might not look like anything is missing now. If you do that consistently, you just wake up one day, you find out that you guys have grown apart, and you're wondering what happened.
And this is where you begin to hear things like, "Oh, he doesn't confide in me. He doesn't talk to me. He prefers to speak to his buddies."
Absolutely.
Okay, and then
absolutely.
What you shared earlier is so critical because sometimes you see this when a man feels stabbed with an information he gave to you previously. He no longer thinks you're a safe place to come to.
Yes.
He decides, and then you start complaining he doesn't come home after work. He finds pleasure elsewhere. Not necessarily with a person of the opposite sex, which is also an option.
Yes.
Okay. But he might just decide to spend more time with his buddies, with his friends. You see, and the thing there is that it's affecting the intimacy between you already. So
Absolutely.
friendship, that's very important.
Absolutely. And the other point that you need to set a goal, to improve your relationship. set a goal to improve your friendship today. Do deliberate things, all right, that will strengthen your friendship. It might be spending time together. It might be taking a walk in the park. It might be, opening your wedding album. It might be revisiting some fond memories. It might be asking each other a question. What was going through your mind the first time you saw me? All right. What did you what did you think the first time you saw? Just do things that will put a smile on each other's faces.
Right.
All right. Sometimes we are so busy because the way the world is working right now is that work is invading every available space. All right. But we must guard our family time. We must guard our marriage time. We must guard our personal time with our spouses. We must guard our time for ourselves. All right. Because you can't give what you don't have. So spend time to nurture that friendship. Spend time to build that bond. All right. You will need it. You will need it.
You sure do need it. The next point is address conflicts in marriage. Now, there's a tendency sometimes to think, oh, this topic is too hot. Let's leave it for later. Let's leave it for later. You keep leaving it. If issues are not properly dealt with, they could implode the marriage.
Absolutely.
Address conflict, face it, be courageous enough. I was speaking the other time and I said, I was giving the example of the skunk and the turtle, the famous analogy. Okay, and what happens? The skunk explodes, unleashes, he just goes there and spreads the venom, which stinks. Right? The turtle tends to withdraw. So don't always be a turtle, someone who avoids confrontation. It's okay to, you see, the skunk and the turtle have things to learn. The skunk needs to learn to listen more, to hold back a bit, okay, and know when to speak, process things before speaking. Don't just unleash and then pour the stink everywhere and say, oh, it's all out there, take me the way I am. And the turtle needs to learn to speak up. Speak. Don't always buckle from confrontation. Okay, conflict in itself, like we always say, it's not a bad thing. It is good. It helps you fine-tune your values as a couple.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, you have this value as a couple, you keep saying it, we have a value of loyalty, and one person feels like, I don't think this loyalty is up to par. Don't just keep it to yourself and think, okay, I don't think I like what he did. That thing he did is not loyal. That's not a sign of loyalty. You might need to speak up. Let's talk about this issue. Let's trash it. When you keep sweeping things under the carpet, it leads to radioactive states in the marriage where things become too hot to handle. And they become those issues that the moment you touch on them, it might be finance. The moment it's an issue to do with that area, there are sparks everywhere. And you can't even get through. Nobody gets through to the other. And we leave it again. And it's just that explosive thing, like a volcano.
Absolutely.
Okay, so conflict must be addressed.
And then you find that issue taking on a life of its own. It's like it becomes like a demigod that nobody talks about, like a big elephant in the room. No. All right, that's like it's like the concept of weed. If you don't uproot it quite early, what it's going to do, the root will go deep down the foundation of the building and begin to crack things. You'll be shocked how trees can ruin fences, can disrupt things if you don't deal with them early. So that's one key thing about conflict. Conflict is not bad, it's how we manage it, it's how we perceive it. And so one of the ways to proactively manage conflicts is to play out scenarios. What happens if an in-law, one of my siblings come around and they overstay their welcome? What are we going to do? How do you want to handle that? What happens if, for example, I do carry out an investment and I lose money? How are you going to handle it? What happens if I spank our child in anger? What are we going to do about it? What happens if an old flame contacts me out of the blues? How are you going to react to it? You try to play some of these proactive situations and then you discuss how you're going to handle it.
And do you know the truth? What I've come to find from our own marriage is that when you discuss such things, because they've been discussed, you also somehow just have the capacity to handle these matters. So they eventually do not happen.
Yes. Yes.
That scenario you're painting, you're preempting, which you do not want to happen. You're like, oh, okay, how would we do this if this happens?
Yes.
Eventually would not happen. Why?
Absolutely.
Because you've talked through it and you have had some time to think about it yourself.
Yes.
Oh, why would I spank our child? Because these are things that will come up in the course of conversation.
Yes.
What would happen if I spanked our child? Oh, why would you spank him? On what basis? You don't spank children if they don't even understand why you're spanking them, then it's futile.
Spot on.
So with that, you start thinking, but in the heat of the moment, when that child upsets you, those words come flushing through your mind, and you're like, oh, okay, why would I even spank him? He's still a young boy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So these are things that you can do to proactively address some of these conflict issues, and you'll be amazed how far you guys can go solving this. Let's go to the next.
Okay, so develop a strong vision.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'll let you deal with this one.
Yes, because developing a strong vision is so critical to any relationship, anything you want to do. Vision is like a picture of what's of a better atmosphere or a better reality. So, for example, you came from a polygamous family, and that has plagued you for years. You've seen how things were done. You see the level of politics that played in the family. You see how siblings, tore each other up. You saw how people hid information that will help the other person because they were trying to get ahead. You've seen all kind of things playing out, and now some of this play out even in his monogamous family. So you now came up, you said, you know what, I don't want any of this. That is the starting point, but it's not enough. Thinking about what you don't want is not enough. You must now ask yourself, what do I want? What kind of marriage do I want? How will my marriage look like on a daily basis? Just choose a day. So let's say 2050. Let's say 25th December 2022, or 25th December 2040, or 2060. You just choose a day, any day. It doesn't matter. But it's always good to choose a significant day, maybe your wedding anniversary, and then just go through how will you feel in that marriage. When you wake up in the morning, how will you feel? What will happen? And just go through that day. That's you creating a vision. Because if you don't do that, your natural tendencies will kick in. What do I mean by that? Your default mode is based on how you were raised, your impression about marriage, where you've been, stories you've heard, movies you've watched, books you've read. All right, all this stuff is shaping your perspective of marriage. So one key thing that you need to do is to now create the kind of marriage you want. Now, when you create that kind of marriage, you now ask yourself, who do I need to become to be able to have that kind of marriage? That's what vision does for you. Because it's not enough to say, oh, we want to change this country. Yes, we want this country to be one of the leading countries. Yes, that's good. Or I want this marriage to be like this. That's good. But you must become the kind of person that can create that marriage, because nobody is coming to the rescue. You are the one responsible. All right, you want a better life. What does that mean? Distill what it means and ask yourself, who do I need to be to be able to create that kind of life? So the concept you're talking about here is what we call be, do, have. You must become for you to be able to do what you need to do, for you to be able to have the kind of marriage you want. If you don't do that, you're going to be very frustrated, because frustration comes when you know you are capable of more, but that more is not reaching your hand. That's where frustration comes. If a child knows that they can have ice cream, if they know that they can have ice cream and they are not having it, that's why they get frustrated. But if they don't have a concept of ice cream at all, they won't be crying because they don't even know. So once you know that you're capable of a better marriage, but for some reason you are unable to create it, frustration comes. And sometimes people transfer that aggression to their spouse. You are the reason why. If I had married a different wife, maybe things would be better. If I had married a different man, maybe things would be better. If I had married this, if I had done this. No, take on the responsibility. All right, and ask yourself, what kind of marriage and who do I need to be? Okay, once you become that version, things begin to improve in your relationship.
Now, someone may be asking, a woman may be asking, okay, my husband is not doing this. He's not taking the lead.
Absolutely.
What do I do?
He's not taking the lead. Now, you can't take the lead completely now in terms of marriage, but there are specific areas you can take the lead. Maybe you are the one that manages money. How are you managing money? Because I think it's Mahatma Gandhi that says, be the change you want to see in the world. All right, so instead of focusing on what your husband is not doing, focus on what he's doing and talk about what he's doing well. So he might not be the guy that is, maybe his temperament may be too laid back. All right, so What can you do? Where is he leading forward? Where is he? Maybe in being a fantastic father, all right? Maybe it's in being keeping in touch with his in-laws. Maybe look for something he does and celebrate what he does, and then you try to do your own best from what you can do. As time goes on, you will earn the right to talk to him. Now, this is what I mean. You as a spouse, you always have the right to talk to your spouse. But whether they listen to you is a different story.
True.
All right. So you get to that point where your spouse looks at you and say, this woman is really, really trying. She's really doing this. She's really doing this. Unconsciously, there's a law of leadership by John Simmons that's called the law of respect. People try to follow those who are better than them in an area. So once you are seeing that you are modeling success, you are doing some very strong thing in some areas, unconsciously, if you speak to them about that area, they may not behave like they are listening, but they are listening to you. They are opening up their heart because they've seen that you have results. All right. So that's for someone who is really rational and someone who is reasonable. But there are exceptions, even people that are unreasonable. We can pray about these things.
Yeah.
All right, because the heart of anyone is in the hand of God. He can always turn it around the way he wills. And that's the basic thing. No situation is beyond control. No situation is out of our control. So one key thing is there is, rather than focusing on what your spouse is not doing, right, focus on what you can do and do that. What you can do is that you can celebrate them. What you can do is that you can do what you can do and do it well.
Yes.
That's what you can do. And once you begin to do that, you begin to create an atmosphere. Instead of, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. One thing people don't like being told what to do. That's one thing, especially if you're adults. 2, people don't like being corrected. So there are methods of doing that. I think it was by Dale Carnegie that wrote a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and he talked about how to correct people. First of all, talk about what they are doing well. They call it the sandwich method. Talk about what they are doing well. What are they doing well? All right, I really like the way you look after our child. I like the way you create fun memories for him. It's really there to me. All right. So if only you can just change his diapers quite early. That will really help, because sometimes this is causing rashes for him. All right. And thank you so much. The pictures you took of him was, I know this sounds like a cliche, but let me tell you something. Our natural default is to focus on what is not working well. And that's what we talk about. If you enter a room of white walls, you might not notice the whole white wall. You notice the small stain on the wall. That's the way the human mind is. What stands out is what you focus on. All right. So, but train your eyes to look for what stands out in a positive light, and you'll be amazed.
And don't go comparing him, because I think we've come to know, we say this often, men are territorial.
Yeah.
But the moment you start saying, oh, can't you see the way this other man does this? Something in him resists change.
Absolutely.
That change you want to see.
Yes.
Okay? And then that in his mind is you bringing another man into his space.
Absolutely.
So he, at that point, wants to guard his territory, and he then makes you and that man you're talking about an enemy.
Absolutely.
You both become enemies to him.
Absolutely. And it's worked for ladies as well.
Yes.
Some people will say, oh, you don't make stew like my mother does. Even though you don't say it, your body language does. Oh, you don't you don't sit at home like my mother was a full-timer, so I don't know why you're working. I don't trust with all these your friends, all these your male colleagues. I mean, deal with it. All right. So sometimes it also happens like that.
Okay, so the last one we'll be taking for today is develop daily rituals.
Absolutely.
Now, when I was talking about strengthening your friendship, I mentioned we'll be talking about some things you can do, which will then help to strengthen the friendship between you both.
Yes.
So what are daily rituals? These are things you do intentionally daily.
Yes.
Okay, as a couple,
tell them what we do.
I was going there. As a couple, we intentionally pray together every day.
Absolutely.
Okay, it brings us closer to God. It brings us closer to each other.
Yes.
I mean, and then there's this thing we do where you pray for the other.
Yes.
So hearing him voice out his intents for me to God makes me feel truly special.
Absolutely.
You see,
Absolutely.
so that helps us. We bathe together. Okay, well, yes, when I had a baby, that was initially the early days. That was a bit of a challenge.
Yes.
But we're getting back.
Yes, we're getting back.
Okay, and then we eat together.
Yes, definitely.
And that's those are moments where
we shop together.
crunch things. Yes,
You
we
know,
shop together. Go on.
we parents together.
Hmm.
By that I mean, sometimes when the birth of an event, when you have a new child, there is this tendency that we all have this perception of how the kind of parent we want to be. So this automatically gives you an opportunity to be that parent. But without being careful, you might alienate your spouse. You might begin to do this unconscious rivalry, whereby, oh, he hugged me more, oh, he hugged me unconsciously. You might not really realize it. It might be based on the programming that you've seen growing up.
Yes.
How some you like one parent than the other, so you don't want that to happen to you. So what are you trying to do? You're consciously. So one key thing there is that you parent together. What that means is you both set the standard. This is not allowed for any of our children. All right. So whether my wife is stronger in this angle, if my child comes to me, I will say, whatever my wife has said, whatever your mother said, that's what we're standing at. So we are parenting together. You're having that unified front. If you don't do that, children are going to play you against each other. True. And that has the tendency of impacting your marriage. But that's a topic for another day. But one key thing there is this: building rituals. Rituals are things you do on a regular basis, all right, that helps to bond you together. Another thing we do, you watch movies together. Yeah. All right, just chill out, talk. We run ministry together. It helps us to connect. All right, so things that help you to connect, it pulls you. You might not realize it. Yeah. You might not realize it. But over a long period of 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, you just find out that, man, these little things are the things that really pull us together.
True.
All right, because
so it doesn't matter. Sorry, I cut you in.
Go on.
You want to finish?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you both are not in the same field, because sometimes people use that as an excuse and say, oh, we're not in the same field, we're worlds apart. Yes. How can we merge? You see, things we've talked about here, things like bathing together, those are basic things you can do together, praying together. These are things that will pull you together. Yes. Then some people have times in the week where they schedule, okay, we'll go for walks. Just let's go walk. Let's go have a walk.
Yeah, hold each other's hands.
Look, stare into the moon. Don't. I mean, just lighten up a bit.
Yeah, another ritual that we do is talking together every day. She tells me what happens at her workplace. I tell her what happens at my workplace. We talk. All right. Talking is therapeutic, especially when your spouse is listening without interrupting. Yeah. It's relaxing. It's freeing. All right. Especially now that most of the world is on lockdown. Engage with your spouse. Get into their world. Don't just leave them to themselves. Right? They are an adult. They should deal with it. No. Find out how you can get into their space and be of support to each other. Very critical. These are little things, but let me tell you, there are little foxes that spoil the van. Yes. The van. Yeah. All right. So very critical, rather. Very critical for you to be able to do these little things, and over a period of time, you find out that they are the things that your children talk about when they become adults. They say, I'd like I saw a video on YouTube, YouTube or Instagram, where a man was helping his wife to brush, to do a afro. I was convenient. These are little things, but the guy was so wow and be like, so automatically his parents have set a standard for him. That's the kind of marriage he's looking forward to. You want to even improve on the marriage that he have. So these are the things that your children will see, and they automatically know the kind of person they should marry. And that's why people who come from very strong marriages, strong families, they often get it right in marriage as well. Most times, because they've seen a model that they want to replicate.
Yes. We can see some people joining us. We're trying not to mention names because this would go on some other platforms just for GDPR purposes. But thank you so much. Thank you.
Really appreciate you so much.
So we have come to the end of the class.
Yes,
it's been a nice time. You can find us on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Foundation for Family Affairs. Our website is www.foundationforfamilyaffairs.org. If you need to leave us a message, if you can't inbox us, reach us on info@foundationforfamilyaffairs.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you want us to coach you, to take you through one of our coaching classes, we're going to leave a link below where you can just go in there, fill out the form, and then we'll have a 1 hour free session with you where we'll be able to help you understand what the problems are and then help you create a plan on where what to do next.
And someone said something really remarkable here. Talking about rituals, doing them consistently compounds over time.
Spot on.
So true.
Spot on. Spot on.
That's so
Thank
true.
you so much.
It all adds up. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care of yourself. God bless you all.
Thank
Until
you.
we
God
see you
bless
next time.
you. Okay, bye.
Bye.